being part of the community, sharing information. If whatever you say might help save somebody's life.
When I was diagnosed, I really did not keep it to myself. Because the more you keep it to yourself, the more stress that you experience.
You can get a 4-year degree in grief and you still can go to pieces, or you still can handle that day. And, it's an individual thing.
If you do not speak to others, you may never know what they are going through.
Now, our passion is just getting out there, just having a discussion.
So every information is part of the puzzle that builds the story.
Yeah. Welcome to Getting Back Up, where grief meets growth.
2 men, 2 fathers, and 1 shared journey of rebuilding.
We're talking about life after cancer, love, loss, and everything no one tells you.
Well, let's get into it.
Hey folks, it's David McClain from... We're back again. We're in another city. We're doing our trips remote to speak to different people about loss.
Yeah, this is our first, I'll call this our first Atlanta tour.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We are at Clark Atlanta University.
That's
Welcome.
right. That's
Welcome.
Right.
Being hosted by Dr. Chaudhary.
Yeah.
Or Chaudhary.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and we're guests here today at the Cancer Center here, the Cancer and Research Center here in the campus. It's a beautiful campus, and we're in this journey about talking about loss, and particularly around people who have spoken or lost in cancer or survived cancer. We have the opportunity to talk to Chaudhary and his staff and his team today, and we'll start with you. And if you can, give us a quick background about yourself, just so we all get to know you.
Thank you, and welcome to Clark Atlanta University.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure hosting you and listening to the stories and the loss, and I can imagine how hard it is, but I welcome you all.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Jaideep Chaudhary. I'm the Executive Director for the Center for Cancer Research and Therapeutics Development. And our group is focused on prostate cancer research, finding new ways to treat cancer, discover what causes prostate cancer. And one of the big things that we do is how to engage with the community, because we believe that our research should be driven by the lived experiences of the community that we serve. Being in HBCU and being in the community which is predominantly Black, and prostate cancer being more prevalent in the African American population, we consider this as a calling for us to come to this community and serve it and find ways and means to minimize this impact of prostate cancer in the Black community. I am actually honored to be here. I have some experience behind me. Formerly, I was the Dean for the School of Arts and Sciences. And then I worked as a researcher in the Cancer Center. And before coming here, I was also part of a biotech company, early stage biotech company, where we were developing therapeutics for ovarian cancer. And in India, my background is endocrinology and biophysics. And, at this point of time in life, all your experiences in the industry, in the academic environment, comes together and propels you to lead the team of very successful scientists. And I'm glad to be here, proud of my team, and glad to work with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for an incredible background and to give us a sense of what you're bringing to, as you said, all of these different experiences come together and coalesce in this moment. You had mentioned about getting closer to the community and drawing them in, and what you had just mentioned. Is it also putting it in a relatable form, the community? So this is every day. Yeah, let me put it in everyday terms. Speak a little bit about your connection to the community.
So, one of the strongest arm that we have in the Cancer Center is called community engagement.
Okay.
So almost every weekend on Saturdays, we are out in the community, participating in an event, in a health event, in a health fair, in a benefits fair, engaging with men, talking to them about their experiences. For example, did you had your PSA test? Do you know what PSA test is? And you will be surprised to know that half of them don't even know what PSA test is. So we found it to be compelling to teach them what PSA test is, at what age you want to go, what is it that we can do to help you understand the magnitude of the issue, that it is a different thing that you don't know, but it is an entirely different thing that you may know, but you may never go to your physician to even start the process.
Right.
You cannot live in fear of unknown.
Right.
So I think that is where what we do. And more than lately, we are now engaging with the caregivers, the families, the better half of the men. Yeah. And I think that has been a very compelling story. We used to go to barbershops. And I was sitting with somebody, few months back, and I said, we really want to engage with the barbershops because that's where all the men are going.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, that's great, but have you ever thought of going to a salon? I said, why do you want me to go to a salon? Because she said that it is through the salon that you're going to reach people at the barbershop.
It's true. It's true.
So I thought that was a eureka moment for me. Sure. So I said, no, you know what? We have missed the 75% part of the story.
Yeah.
So that is, what I think the value of community is.
Yeah.
And more importantly, what we think is, we are basic researchers. We are biologists. We try to understand the disease and how to develop new treatments. But if I don't learn from what community is experiencing or how my research is going to translate and what is their experience of what they are going through, and I can then translate to my bench, I think that communication has to take place.
Yeah.
We cannot be doing science in isolation. It has to be community driven.
It's interesting. So kind of thinking back to your background and your past, and then kind of where you are today, what do you think? What was it that brought you into kind of prostate research in particular?
So it was a combination of, you are trying to find a job, you're struggling, and I'm going to be very honest with you, and you have a lot of experience, but you want to continue in the field. And when I joined Clark Atlanta at that time, I didn't know about an HBCU. I mean, what HBCU is. It's about 20 years since you last came to see me.
Yeah.
You're going to those homecomings now, aren't you?
There you go. Okay. So, all right. When I came here, I realized what a great opportunity this has been. God has sent me here. Something has moved me here on a mission, right? And I have to deliver. And I think that was my starting point, and that was my motivation. And I think collectively we all worked for that mission.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a calling, if you would. To save lives, you have to do research, but the research has to be funded. And how and what research is funded is sometimes beyond your control.
Right.
Return on investment is life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? If we cannot save life, then there is no return of
What are we
investment.
doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
That's a basic question that at least I wake up with. That is my mission.
Yeah.
To move forward.
When you look at science today, what breakthroughs do you feel are kind of the closest that you've researched, that you've come across, that are really, kind of the ones that are going to change the community?
Oh, so there are many, and I will emphasize that research is a team effort. What I did that will change the world is not important, but what we collectively contributed to the field that will change the world is more important. Right. So rather than counting individual efforts, we should be looking more to collective efforts that science is doing, right? To change the world, to save the lives.
Yeah.
So, for example, genetic testing, it was never there. Now, when a patient goes with some sort of a cancer, we immediately develop a genetic profile, which drugs that person is going to respond to, more likely to respond to. Personalized medicine has come into play. I think that is a big advancement. It just didn't come out, one overnight. It was a progressive research that led to us.
And collective.
And collective research that led to us. I think science is always a collective effort.
Yeah.
It is very difficult And it is also not fair to pinpoint that there was this one something that was done in the lab that completely changed. Yes, there are, but everything that led to it was a collective effort that really made things change.
Yeah. I want to back up to something you said earlier when we sat down, and then also when we got together in the group earlier today. You talked about that connection to the community and the survivor community at that. What do you think you have learned from the survivor community that's changed the way you research?
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question. So I'm going to give you an anecdote. So I'm in this health fair in a church, in a community church south of Atlanta, and it is for the veterans. And there are about 40 or 50 of them, and I was part of the panel. It was me who was a basic researcher. There was a clinician, there was a survivor, and there was somebody who was newly diagnosed. And we were all talking, just like what we are doing right here. And the community was sitting, and at the end of it, we were all asking questions and things like those. Very excited. When you get a group of scientists going, you can hardly stop them, from talking because this is what we do.
Right.
And then, and when we were closing, this guy at the very end came up to me and said, "Oh, sir, I didn't realize, where is the prostate?" I said, we have gone through so much, and I think we have been grossly unsuccessful in delivering the message. We really have to change it. That changed my perspective of we have to develop a message that resonates. We are probably not even delivering the right message, right? I think that was a moment that I will never forget, that forever changed the way I approach the community. Those are powerful things that you learn. You learn this only when you go and talk to the people. Right? And that is what we're doing here.
No, I think that's when you talk about kind of those moments. Right. Like, I think that's one of those moments where you're like the aha moment. And I think that's for David and I, a lot of the conversations that we've had, or that we feel are the ones that are most revealing, are those moments where, like, wow, like, I didn't know that talking to a professor, a doctor, a dean could bring this clarity or bring this visibility. And then likewise for you, I'm sure I didn't know that talking to a survivor at this depth, or talking to his potential spouse, or his spouse or family. We were talking earlier around the lack of visibility or the lack of conversation so many people have about their family's medical history. And being able to bring that and help present that in a way to help triangulate what are these decades of history that this person has that are able to bring to this story, potentially a diagnosis, potentially a solution or a step further.
The simple question is, when you go to your primary physician, the first thing they ask is any history of cancer in your family, right? And that is a simple question that they asked. But the value of that question is monumental. They can immediately figure out which way to go. So do not underestimate the questions that are being asked when you go to your primary physician.
That's good.
Each one of them is very important, right? If I don't tell him or my primary physician that, my family history or something like that, even though I am going to do all the tests, but for the primary physician to make a connection, that connection will not be there, right? You just heard today that, one of our survivors, there was a PSA, and if that family history was not there, that person would have been fine. Right? Nothing to be done. But once the family history came into, it was an immediate action. Right? So that's the value of what we need to really send the message to the community, that, never underestimate what you and your family is going through. Share those moments, share those stories, because you are now educating your own people. If we just keep it to ourselves, you're not helping anybody.
That's right. Even more detrimental.
Being part of the community, sharing information. If whatever you say might help save somebody's life, that is your return on investment.
I don't think there's a better place to end our conversation with Dr. Chaudhary, because that's exactly it.
That's it.
Open your mouth, speak. understand that there may be generations of this.
Yeah.
Maybe something can be done.
You know, and on the I know you want to close it, but I will always
Sure.
I'll tell you this, that when you said generations of it, when scientists look at it and put together 2 and 2, that is going to lead to a newer discovery.
Yeah.
Or a better idea of how disease develops and moves.
Yeah.
So every information is part of the puzzle that builds the story.
Yeah. We really thank you for your time
appreciate it.
and your knowledge and just how relatable you are to this community that
you.
needs to have this open dialogue so that we can move further beyond together as a community and save some lives.
Yeah.
Sure, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Clark,
That's-
Atlanta is lucky, and Atlanta
Yes.
is lucky to have
Very much.
you guys here.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank
we
you. It's
appreciate
an honor
you
to
guys.
talk to both of you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Henry Elonge here with us, who is got an interesting story as we talk about the dynamics of diagnoses and support and treatment and research. But we'll let him introduce himself. Dr. Elonge, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you very much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share my story regarding prostate cancer.
And
Appreciate
I
it.
think, Dr. Elonge, you have, as Jamal said, a unique story in the sense of, you're a doctor, you are involved in research and teaching and have patients, but you are a patient yourself and a survivor. So talk about how you approached your diagnosis as a human being and then also as a clinician and a researcher.
I think one of the things we learned from our parents is to know yourself and watch changes in your life. But mine came by accident. I was watching the news, ABC News to be particular. I came home from school to pick up my daughter from elementary school, and I had 30 minutes to go back to teach that evening, and I was about to take a short power nap, and then the news came on, 6 o'clock news, and that Dr. Tim Johnson featured there, and that is when he said that there was an article just published in the New England Journal of Medicine that indicated that the PSA count, which has been used for prostate cancer diagnosis, was not reliable. It is that statement that registered on my mind. And since I'm a teacher, and sometimes I teach research, and I deal with reliability and validity, so it began to disturb me. If that test is not reliable, therefore what else is? That is how I began to question myself, that I've been going to annual physicals, so all those numbers may not be reliable. So what next? So I'm the one who took myself to the doctor, Dr. Harvey, and said, Dr. Harvey, this is what I heard in the news. Or he said he's aware of that article. I should not bother. And then I left him that way. But that worry continuously pounded my mind to say, what then is the reliable cure? And that is when my wife, who is a nurse, said, if I'm so worried about it, I should go back to him. So I went back to him, said I needed an advanced test that would convince me that all of the PSA tests that I've taken, which are now not reliable, that I do not have cancer, That's when they sent me to do a biopsy. And out of the 8 samples they took of the biopsy, 7 were cancerous.
Wow.
So that's how I came with that reality of knowing that I had cancer. Never thought about it before.
At what stages were all of these different cancers then?
No, for me, I was told that the cancer I had was stage 2.
Okay.
But at the same time, I got information from my home country that my elder brother too had been diagnosed with cancer, but his was stage 4. So we rushed him to London for intensive chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And that's how we dealt with his case. And then for me now, I began to think about first the disease and how to get my family involved.
Yeah.
As I went along to begin to diagnose what would be the problem, the solution.
In your family, doctor, how openly did you all talk about illness, about the challenges of family history and maybe the lineage of that? I mean, how open were you as a family talking about these tough topics, especially?
My father was an educator, so he talked a lot about it, but he will always tell us, the children, every time we wanted him to go to the hospital, he would tell us that there are traditional herbs that he will use to cure himself. So we talked about it, but although he believed in modern medicine, but he was also a traditional herbalist. He believed in a lot of herbs. Yes, so we talked about it very, very often.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how it seems like you, with that history and your dad, your father being also somebody who talked about it, and then also your brother being diagnosed, it sounds like you were all very intentional about bringing these conversations and talking about it collectively.
Yes, we did. And when I was diagnosed, I really did not keep it to myself. Because the more you keep it to yourself, the more stress that you experience, as if it is like a death sentence. When I left the hospital that day, I assembled my family and told my 3 daughters and my wife that I've been diagnosed with cancer. But I told my children that I don't think the cancer is going to kill me because I'm going to fight it. So all I needed from them is to join me in this battle.
How old were your children, by the way, at that point?
They were of various ages, between 17, 15, yes, and 10.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yes. So I told them, and then the doctors who read the results, I was very skeptical about their approach. I thought they were very young and inexperienced. So I began to think about a second opinion. And that's when one of my colleagues here at the university asked me to go and see Dr. James Bennett. Yes, a urologist in town, and that's how I went and met him. Yes, I asked him lots of questions. First of all, that what's the probability that the test itself could be wrong? But he said it's a 0 probability, and then I also asked him to describe the various options if at all I had the cancer. So he went through, he said, no, he cannot discuss these issues. I must first go and bring my wife to be part of the conversation. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The one thing that we've talked about, we've heard from you and other team members here at Clark Atlanta and the Cancer and Disease Prevention Center is around building a community and communicating with the community.
Yes.
Right. I think that's been something for, I know for us, our experiences were similar where our late wives didn't necessarily want to share it too broadly where they were. And I think, what you talked about, what you did, kind of bringing your family together as well.
Yes, and
really
friends.
important.
And friends. I told the whole community that this is what I'm going through. And many of them were supportive. But that encouragement may have led some of them also to go and do the thing. Even in the choice of treatment, the doctor gave me several choices, but when I chose the treatment of taking out the prostate, a lot of friends were a little bit confused. They said, why don't I will not have a good love life again?
That seems to be a consistent theme.
So, I said, okay, the only thing you just have to put it on a balance. Do you want to live or do you want to continue to having sex?
Yeah.
And for me, I put living as more important than any other thing to deal with your sex condition and so on. So, and I think that is why I've taken the issue very, very well.
Yeah.
Yes, and I can talk about it without any fear. Last but not the least, for me, the issue wasn't really the surgery. The surgery went well, and the doctor explained everything to me. The surgery was the post-operation challenges. That is, to me, where I had a very rough and painful time. And making several visits to the emergency room just because I had a scar tissue where the doctor had sealed cut the prostate and the bladder where I had developed it. So I could not go to to urinate. It was so painful. It is more painful than the surgery.
Wow.
So it was after, but Dr. Bennett took care of it, and I really thank him for doing that.
That's good. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Elonge. We appreciate you joining us here today.
Thank you again for getting to know you.
Yeah.
And also for what you have been through in the family, from your family. And we, as I said, if you do not speak to others, you may never know what they are going through.
Right.
Absolutely.
And on speaking to them, you may realize that their problems are larger than your problems. So in talking to you, I've gained some fulfillment that I should be a little bit more contented with my own problem than some that took in it. Yes.
No, I always say to people, our one problem isn't bigger than the other. It's just the size of the cup that we've been given.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't want a bigger cup than I have right now.
And
but
thank you for the work you're doing to disseminate this information so that people who look like us can begin to be proactive about their health conditions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
We appreciate it. And thank you very much. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And I'm hoping to see you sometime in the future.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So we bringing here to the conversation Mr. Tony Williams and Miss Cecelia Williams, kind of like newlyweds to a great extent.
What about? We've been together 9 years. Been married 7.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
new to the game a little bit.
Okay. So, but it's
Still kind of newlywed.
It's still
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
new in
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
especially some of the challenges
Oh
that you all have gone through.
yeah. If you put it that way.
So,
Yeah.
so why don't you? Let's start with Tony first, and just give a little bit of your backstory, and also kind of tell me a little bit about some of the organizations that you founded.
Once again, my name is Tony Williams. I'm 66 years old. I met Cecelia Foster 9 years ago. We met online. We dated for about 2 years. And when we decided to get married, we got married on the day that we actually met, because I know my memory is not the best. So I say, in order for me to keep up with the anniversary, we're going to get married on October the 15th, because we met on October the 15th.
How did you feel about that?
I was good because he remembers. So
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
That was a little secret I kept to myself. My memory is not the best, so I better. But we once again, we dated for 2 years, got married that October the 15th, on 2 years on the same date that we had met. But the next month, which was November, we were sitting one Friday night. We was having an in-home date night. She was cooking part of the meal, and I was cooking the other part of the meal. And the phone rang about 6:30. I looked at my phone. It was my doctor. Friday afternoon, 6:30. My doctor never does that. Never does that. And so I'm curious. I took the phone and turned to her like this, and she stopped because she was at the stove. And I'm like, so we both like curious about what's going on. May I speak with? So I said, speaking. Tony, this is Dr. Brazard. And I say, yes, I know. I said, what's going on? She say, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have prostate cancer. I said, oh my God, are you kidding? She said, don't be alarmed, but I need to see you first thing Monday. She said, I already made you an appointment. I need you to be here at 8:30, and we're gonna jump on this right away. And it went from there. And
What stage was it? Did you?
it wasn't quite a 1 yet, but it was enough for it to show up, because of the PSA number was above 4. Matter of fact, it was a 511. And they don't like it over 4. So that so they didn't quite know the stage. That's why she wanted to see me that Monday to run some more tests to figure out what stage I was at, to make sure I wasn't too far out. And luckily I was right at the cuff. I was at the beginning stage of it. And so I turned to Cece, and what was supposed to have been a date night kind of went. I was out of it. I was done.
Yeah.
I was pretty. It had kind of spoiled me, and she was trying to comfort me the best she could. But and that's how it went for me. And then she had to go into another role. Like, okay, I just married this guy, and I see what he's going through, because I had never had major. That was major. I have never had a major health problem. And so it went, and then her nurturing took over at that point.
I know one thing that when we read about your story and your experience, one thing that kind of hit me and resonated was when you said, and we talked about it earlier, is we just got married. I just got diagnosed. Is she going to stay with me? Is she going to leave me?
Oh yeah.
What was that like? Kind of feeling that, and
I knew when, because we had put in that 2 years together, that we had done, 4 seasons twice, as I call it.
Seasons.
So we knew.
We talk about the seasons.
Yeah. We had done 4 seasons twice, so we knew the do's and the don'ts, and what gets you up. I know. She know I get up early. She gets up late, and so we kind of had figured that part of our relationship.
That took a minute.
Yeah. We had, why you get up so early? I get up early. Why you sleep late? I sleep late. So once we got through that part of the relationship, it just to hear that cancer part was.
It was a new season.
You can't even, it's almost like grief when someone passed in the family, depending on how close they are to you or how distant they are. You can get a 4-year degree in grief, and you still can go to pieces, or you still can handle that day. And, it's an individual thing, but I'm gonna let her tell you what she told me when we got to that part about leaving.
Well, he asked me, he said, do you want to stay here through this, or do you want to go ahead, because, I don't know what's going to come out of this. And, we know what happens after prostate, cancer. So, and I was like, no, I'm here. I'm here to, he always says we're here till the wheels fall off. So he says it's like a chain in a bicycle. I'm the chain, you got to have the chain in order to roll. So, and that's where we were.
So when we think about your background and how you were raised and hearing this diagnosis and given this pivotal moment, what from your background and the way you grew up said, no, I'm staying, I'm moving forward with this man?
I grew up taking care of people. My mother had children and when I was 11, I had sisters that I had to take care of. And I've always been that kid that nurtured and take care of people, bring people together. So it was just, I guess that was what helped me to know, and then my background is, when you make a decision and you're with someone, you stick through it. I was raised to not give up, not quit, not give up on anybody, and just to stick through it. And so that is part of the reason why, it was easy for me. And that's what made it easy.
And then another great thing about it, she's been married before and I've been married before as well. And we didn't want to make mistakes in previous marriages. So we made sure on the front end of our relationship is communication. Regardless how bad it is, we have got to talk about it. From money to honey to health to wealth or whatever, we got to talk about it. And so this one hit on the health side.
I think the fact that you guys worked together and made it a we decision and a we process, I think that was really important.
I so appreciate both of your candor and just openness with us. Is this also kind of some of the conversations that you're having with people of your group and others? Can you say a little bit more about what you all are doing there?
Since we've gone through all this, with Dr. Ryan and the Dr. Shaw, they've actually asked for our help.
That's great.
And so now our passion is to go and help others, and that's what we do now. We reach out. We're involved in couples or anyone that's going through this because we're from the beginning of it. So that's the thing that we're enjoying now, is being able to the awareness, because it's not talked about. And, especially in our race.
In our community.
I
don't know
community.
why we scared to talk. I don't get it.
And so what we've been doing is really, really just getting out there, just having a discussion.
Well, you guys, you both, not just you, Tony, but you too, Cecelia. I mean, the work you guys have done together. How you partnered through the whole thing, but how you came out on the other side, navigating a whole lot of different elements of loss. I mean, a whole lot of different challenges, from, being diagnosed and, early in your marriage to then getting, dealing with ED and that component of it. And that's a whole, and we talk about that oftentimes, right?
It was some pressure. I mean, it was, I guess, the pressure came from the fact that the cancer part of it, that really, because she has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. We don't have children together, of course. And then my side, the only one that has the grandkids, and they're like 4 and 10 now. And when you get to thinking about death, and then you're 59, 60 at that point, nobody's ever ready to go, but that really runs through your mind a lot. Now, if I was in my 80s or 90s, I'd say, I'm just gonna ride this. I'm out of here. I pray I'm going to heaven. I've tried to be a good guy here the whole time I was in, but I wasn't ready to go. I still got a lot just spunk in me.
Clearly.
And when we met each other, we told you how we met. So when we met each other, I had to go to the airport to pick my son up, and Tony left. And on my way, I had dealt with things, and so in my car I prayed. I said, Lord, if he's the one, it's on you. And when he called me to check to make sure if I was at the airport to get my son, he said, you know what? He said, I just prayed in the car that if she's the one, then I'm gonna let you choose. So that right there was the first connection.
Sure. I was tired. I don't know if she told you, that was my last day on that website. That was her last day. And it was just ironically, I said, Lord, I am tired of this. I'm trying to do right out here. I've done right. But yeah, it's almost a story like it's kind of unbelievable, but it happened. That's the way it happened.
And we started out, we had a friendship. Because we didn't have a sexual life through the time, the 2 years.
Early, and I didn't realize
then once we found out what was going on. So we had built a true, downright strong friendship. And I think, I was taught that as a young lady dating, and, if you don't have that friendship, what do you have? Because we had that and didn't have the intimacy and all that, but we had the best friendship, and we still do.
That's good.
So
that's good.
And
it's getting you through together here.
The
laughter and everything that you all have. Well, we want to thank both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Coming. Hopefully, we hear more about these great stories that you all have as we go on. But hey, we're so glad that you are well. And that you two are together and you nurture each other and support each other. So, Cecelia, Tony, Williams, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be a part of it.
So, Jamal, we had a full day at Clark Atlanta University's Cancer Center Treatment and Development. This was so eye-opening in so many ways about the community, the conversation around research, about prevention, about the work on the bench that the researchers do translates to how the community needs to kind of operate with their own sense of cancer and treatment and education.
I think we've talked about so many different things in the since we started this journey. And, while we didn't necessarily think we'd get to a place like this to be welcomed at a university to talk, I think about the storyline and where we started, but also where we're going with loss. And man, we touched on so many different elements of the emotional experiences that both survivors, their partners, the researchers, the doctors, the professors, how, everybody is impacted by this. And it's the one thing that everybody keeps asking for. And the thing we're all trying to deal with is helping people to talk and the importance of talking about these experiences, the importance of talking about what we're feeling. That for me is one of the biggest outcomes of this.
Yeah. And that the realizations of where to find people willing to talk about, if you can't find them in one place, go another. The example of going to, all right, barbershops for men who look like you and me, for sure. All right, there are a lot of men that may not want to talk about it as much. Let's go to the salons.
Exactly.
Because we can get the women to then have the conversations with men and the word tone that you brought up. They can find the right tone with the men because this is about life and death in many situations or a huge battle of survival to get to the other side and to live life to its absolute fullest when given a diagnosis.
Yeah, I think the part for me was that I enjoyed was really listening to particularly those survivors, the use of the word we. The partnerships that they have with their spouses and their families, bringing their families along in this journey. So many of us in these battles, keep it a secret, right? Keep our struggles a secret so that we spare our loved ones or spare our children or spare our friends the exposure to this battle. Some cases we're doing it for the sense of our own privacy, but the reality is a lot of them need to know how to help us. And we've talked about that before. How do people help us? And then, man, the conversations that we had with the people who are on the research side of this and how important it is for them to hear this, because it gives them more context into how they should research.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, man, such a great experience.
It was.
And then we got to, a surprise guest interview. Yes. We got to bring in the famous, well-established, well-received. Yeah, Mr. Russell Hornsby. To have him talk about his experiences with loss. Yeah. Not necessarily cancer, but as we talk about just loss in general. Right. And the revelations that you go through navigating that. That was such a beautiful interview there too as well.
We went so deep that we're going to have to do a part 2 with Russell. I mean, we scratched the surface to a great extent. So we'll have another series with him. Well, that wraps essentially it's
been a long day here in Atlanta.
The Atlanta conversations. We started really early, came down here, but we were glad to do it. And we had the energy for it.
And I want to give a special shout out to the entire staff at Clark Atlanta University Center for Cancer Research and and Therapy. They've been gracious, hosted us, and gave us so much access to their entire team, and they were so hospitable this entire day. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death. If something in today's episode spoke to you, pass it on, because somebody out there needs to hear this.
For sure. We're on all the social mausoleums, so follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Mostly it will be in the form of Get Back Up Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.
And remember, getting knocked down is part of life.
But getting back up, that's how we live.
We'll see y'all next time.